As a kid, I always said that I wanted to be the first woman president. And I said it with confidence. Even like at 7 years old, I was confident that's what I was going to be. And who knows? That can still happen.
So why the Senate?
Around middle school time, I was learning about the legislative and the executive and the judicial branches of government. And what drew me particularly to the Senate was the fact our teacher had emphasized that there's 100 senators, you know, and only one of them could have a different stance on something, yet they would allow the floor to them and they could talk about it for an endless amount of time. So I thought, wow, they even let, you know, the smallest state, Rhode Island, be heard, even though they might not be what the majority agrees with or thinks. Plus, I really enjoy talking, so I liked that there was unlimited debate. Last November, I was doing my morning ritual where I get up and I scan the headlines on my feed. And I particularly look for about 5 different topics that I keep focused on. Otherwise, I get lost in a sea of information. But I was looking and one of the headlines caught my eye. It said, United States Senate went nuclear. And I'm like, what the heck is that? The whole idea about the Senate is that they allow everyone, and I mean everyone, to be heard. That's kind of the beauty of it. So there can be the majority of the senators, you know, for an issue, and just even one senator could be against it, going against the grain. Yet the senator allows open debate and to hear that person out. And they try to do what's compromising and consensus building. It's much different than the House. And I think even the House members are jealous of how the Senate is supposed to be run. Right now, it's not being that run. So now let's go ahead and fast forward. We go into 1917 and Rule 22 is formed. So now for the first time in our history, you can invoke something that's called cloture, which ends debate. But what the compromise was it had to be a 2/3 vote to agree to end debate, which meant 66 out of 100 senators had to agree to end debate.
From 1806 until 1917, the Senate had no way of ending debate, so for 111 years, they embraced unlimited debate.
Yet the principle of unlimited debate was so entrenched that they only invoked cloture 5 times in 46 years. Now, let's compare that to, though, 2009, between 2009 and 2010. They invoked cloture, I think it was around 63 times. It was a ridiculous amount of times. In 1975, we had that senator I mentioned earlier, the former Ku Klux Klan member, Senator Robert Byrd. Him and a bunch of liberals get together and they push to remove the 2/3 requirement and make it 3/5. So now, no longer would you need 66 votes, you need 60 votes out of 100 senators to go ahead and end that debate that's on the floor. So as you can see, we're getting closer and closer to silencing the minority, which is completely not what our founding fathers wanted. So now let's go ahead and fast forward. 2003, the Republicans, they're getting antsy, they're getting mad that the Democrats are playing political games with the rules. which, by the way, the Republicans now are doing, so it's bizarre to me. Anyway, the Republicans say they're going to go ahead and invoke what's called the nuclear option, which I'm going to explain here in a second. So they suggest they're going to do this. Well, let me tell you, the Democratic senators were in an uproar, including, by the way, Senator, at the time, Senator Barack Obama.
Hasn't gotten his way. And that is now prompting, a change in the Senate rules that really, I think, would change the character of the Senate forever. And what I worry about would be that you essentially have still two chambers, the House and the Senate, but you have simply majoritarian absolute power on either side. And that's just not what the founders intended.
So this president has come to the majority here in the Senate and basically said, change the rules. Do it the way I want it done. And I guess there just weren't very many voices on the other side of the aisle that acted the way previous generations of senators have acted and said, Mr. President, we're with you, we support you, but that's a bridge too far. We can't go there.
We are on the precipice of a crisis, a constitutional crisis. The checks and balances which have been at the core of this republic are about to be evaporated by the nuclear option.
This nuclear option is ultimately an example of the arrogance of power. It is a fundamental power grab.
But no, we are not going to follow the Senate rules. No. Because of the arrogance of power of this Republican administration.
So now, fast forward to last year. Well, this gets my blood to boil. Because here we had these same Democrats freaking out that the Republicans were going to invoke the nuclear option, and now they are mad. They're complaining to the media that the Republicans are blocking every piece of legislation, and they're blocking all of the presidential nominees and appointees. And mind you, the Republicans' hands weren't clean. They were playing political games with the rules of the Senate. But they still were passing legislation at a record pace between the years 2009 and 2010. There was the American Recovery Act. There was the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Act, Wall Street reform, credit card reform, health care reform. I mean, the 111th Congress was passing legislation faster than ever, yet Harry Reid was complaining and he just couldn't take it anymore, and him and the Democrats got together and they somehow got the nuclear option passed. And now here we sit, 51 votes now can end debate. And I am just sitting here thinking, we are living in this America that doesn't allow the minority to be heard. The minority is no longer being heard and the majority is being unchecked. And I am just sitting here like, what happened to democracy? And no one cares. No one cares. And they really should.
It's an historic change Democrats say will help fix a broken system.
It's time to change the Senate before this institution becomes obsolete.
And Republicans argue will make Washington gridlock worse.
It puts a chill on the entire United States Senate.
Senate Democrats voted to lower the threshold to break a filibuster from 60 votes to 51 votes, a simple majority. It strips the minority party's ability to block a president's nominees. It's called the nuclear option for good reason.
19th century British Prime Minister William Ewart Gladstone said the United States Senate is the most remarkable of all the inventions in modern politics.
Listen, I am not into political games. I am into problem solving. And what I feel like the Democrats did was instead of compromising or problem solving, they went ahead and just changed the rules to fit their agenda. And what's shocking to me is these same Democrats were crying, upset when the Republicans proposed to go nuclear years before this. I plan on bringing back unlimited debate to the Senate. We've got to recharge America before the political minorities are left silenced.